sighing because this episode is just trauma for children.
Yeah, we love holiday trauma, apparently.
We love holiday trauma. You know, most of these episodes are just traumatic experiences that we have to go through researching all week.
It's not trauma, it's folklore.
It's folklore. Lordy! Welcome to Story Sirens, the podcast where we explore the history of our favorite, and possibly yours too, myths and legends. I'm Yenny.
And I'm Sarah.
And we hope you've had a wonderful Christmas holiday season. Oh, it was so nice.
It was so nice. I love it. I love it. We survived.
We did.
No, it's always fun. So, it's Boxing Day for our UK listeners.
Oh, happy Boxing Day.
Right? Yenny, do you still celebrate Christmas after the 25th? I know that one joke floats around every year that between December 25th and January 1st, nothing counts and time is non-existent. The points don't matter, just like on Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Oh,
but what do you and your family do during this time of year? Also, are you going to go see that new Nosferatu movie that came out on Christmas Day of all days? I can answer for you. Of course not, because that's obviously a Halloween movie, and as both of us have already admitted, we are chickens. But really, Yenny, what do you and your family do?
Bok, bitches. We're chickens and we're proud. Yeah, yes. No thanks on the Nosferatu movie. That's going to be a hard no.
It looks so scary.
Yeah, no thanks.
Why is it coming out on Christmas?
I don't know. It's supposed to be jolly. And that's not jolly at all.
And that movie looks terrifying.
I mean, but if someone does watch it, and I know that there's going to be people who do tell us your thoughts in the comments or on Discord. We actually, love to be on Discord and hang out with you guys. And if you do comment, we will respond back to you.
Yeah, we want to keep the mythology discourse going, or just share pictures of our pets, or just talk about whatever else is going on in life.
Exactly. Now, back to what we do. We actually keep our Christmas tree well into January. Here's the rule for us, okay? If it's still green and perky, it stays.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. We also literally eat leftovers for maybe 3 days after Christmas. Noche Buena for us.
Yeah.
And we continue feeling the Christmas cheer until December 31st.
I love that. My family and I spend that time eating great leftovers too. Because I'm sure like your family, we cook so much food.
So much.
I'm pretty certain every time we make Christmas dinner, my mother-in-law is always like, we made too much. There's just too much food. What have we done? And we're all just like, leftovers, break out the Tupperware.
Let's go. Sometimes we freeze it.
Yes.
Yeah.
We also spend that time, cleaning up wrapping paper, doing some small house chores because there's usually glitter everywhere. And then reading books that were gifted to us, or playing games that were gifted to us, and watching whatever holiday movies we hadn't gotten to before Christmas Day. And we also ask our friends, who's in charge of the New Year's party this year? Not it.
Speaking of New Year, we don't do anything but rest on January 1st. I don't know if I ever told you that. It's bad luck in our culture to do any type of chores on the first day of the new year. Similarly, my fiancés. Yes, we got engaged. Yay! My fiancé's culture, a.k.a. the Chinese culture, is also kind of like ours. It is bad luck to take out the trash or to sweep the floors because apparently it takes all of your fortune away. No bueno. We need our fortune.
We need it.
So is it sort of the same? Do you do something like that for January 1st?
We just usually try to keep the house relatively tidy between Christmas Day and New Year's Day so that on January 1st I can have an existential crisis in a clean environment.
You're too much. All right, guys, but the new year it's not here yet.
It's still Christmas.
It's still Christmas, and we have one more Christmas-themed episode for you this year. One last gift, if you will. We know all of you were very, very well behaved this year. And so Santa left a present for you under the Christmas tree, right?
Each of you fell asleep on December 24th without a care in the world as to what would await you the next morning. And thank goodness for that. Because do you know what would have been there to greet you on Christmas morning if you had been a terrible person this year?
Ooh, I know. Only the meanest, scariest, most gruesome Christmas demon out there. Krampus.
That's right! The Christmas devil himself, St. Nicholas's less appealing co-conspirator. And since none of you, dear listeners, have had a run-in with Krampus this year, we'll tell you all about what you're missing out on. Or maybe you did have a run-in with him. I think he came to visit anyone who went to see a scary movie on Christmas Day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe those of you who saw a monster movie on Christmas Day want to also meet a monster during Christmas. I don't know.
There's a book on that. There's a book on that, and I'm sure it's steamy.
But later, Yenny. Yeah, later.
Later. Or maybe you were a very naughty person and are currently listening to this podcast on a continuous loop as a form of torture that Krampus has given you. If you get my reference, 10 points for you. And if you are on this terrible, god-awful loop of this podcast, I guess we should thank Krampus for the increase in downloads, right, Sarah?
Thank you, Krampus.
Thank you, Krampus.
All right. So, Krampus is a character originating in the folklore of the Alpine region, the high mountain regions of Europe, including Switzerland, Austria, Germany, and more. He is most often attributed to Austrian and German folklore, as the name Krampus is believed to come from the German word for claw, Krampen. The name could also come from the Bavarian word for dead or rotten. That's cheerful, right?
Really?
While evidence of Krampus dates as far back as the 1st century BC, detailed records and legends are hard to come by. In the 11th century, Krampus became a figure who would travel with St. Nicholas, and we have lots of documented evidence of that. A saint and a devil walk into a house. There's a joke there somewhere.
Nah, brumps.
St. Nicholas, as you recall, would give the good little children a small gift, while Krampus, who was traveling with him, would spank the naughty children.
Okay, so we're starting already with some trauma here. How traumatizing would it be to get a gift but then watch a demon Santa torture your sibling? I mean, and how traumatizing is it for the sibling getting tortured? Like, you guys are going together? Like, I don't know. I mean, you really gotta hate your brother or sister to be like, yeah, Krampus, fuck that kid up. Like, that's too much. Where are the parents in this too? They're not hearing them get beat up? What's happening here?
Well, and I will say, to add to the pain and trauma, Krampus really enjoyed doling out punishment.
Oh my God, add insult to injury, won't you?
If the child was especially naughty, spankings wouldn't cut it. Krampus would stuff the child into a bag or basket that he carried with him and carry the child to the underworld. And as with all myths we cover here, some myths say that Krampus loved to eat the naughty children. Are we really surprised?
Lord, of course they eat them. Everything has to go back to eating. Again, bestiality, wrong one there. You shouldn't do that either. But I'm thinking about the monster fucking.
Stop thinking about that book! All right.
Enough with the cannibalism and the bestiality while we're at it.
Golly. Continuing with the horrors, Krampus is a terrifying being to look upon, often described as an unnaturally tall and monstrously hairy man with horns, a long snake-like tongue, fangs, and either the feet of a goat or one goat foot and one human foot. I'm not sure which is worse.
So this is giving me some chimera vibes here, and for those of you who might not know, a chimera is a creature made of different animal parts. In Greek mythology, for example, the chimera is described as a lion with a goat's head on its back and its tail ending in a snake's head. And Krampus seems to sort of play on that. Except he's mainly a human and not a lion. Sarah, is Krampus a furry gone wrong? This is where the monster fucking comes in.
It all leads back to it. It all leads back to it. Oh my gosh. Are we starting the lead up year on the naughty list with this episode?
Oh, for sure. Come spank me for Yenny.
Okay. Pull it together. So in some regions, he wears chains around his neck and wrists, while in others he wears bells so that children can hear him coming. The anticipation of punishment is sometimes worse than the punishment itself. Sometimes.
Oh, yeah, I totally agree with that because I remember the sheer panic and anxiety after seeing my mom give me that, the you're gonna get it when you get home face.
Oh,
Right. Those were the longest rides ever, and they would never forget about the spanking, that's for sure. They knew. You went through it too, huh?
I did. I just had that 1,000-yard stare just remembering it. All right, so what exactly is Krampus? Krampus falls under the category of mythological creatures known as Perkten and, if I mispronounce this, I do apologize, Skjatjeperkten, which translates to ugly Perkten. Rude. The Perkten were beings who traveled with the goddess Perkta, a malevolent winter goddess. In some tales, Perkta is described as looking like a beautiful woman, while in others she appears as an elderly woman who looks very frail and feeble. She is also frequently described as having mismatched feet, one foot looking human and the other looking animal somehow. Sound familiar? This theme of two different feet may refer to the fact that Perkta and her familiar Krampus were able to cross between the mortal and magical worlds.
Sarah, would you willingly have a body part of an animal if, it meant you could cross between worlds?
Possibly. Yeah, right? Possibly. That would be cool. That would be cool.
Now, what animal would it be, and what part of the body would you change?
Honestly, fangs seem pretty easy.
Fangs seem pretty easy. You could be like a bat.
Yeah.
Be a bat.
How, Yenny? Do you want
Bats
me to have
fangs?
Oh, okay. I was thinking a little bit more feline or canine, but you went straight for the bat.
I went for the bats.
That works too, I guess.
It does. And I feel like I could pull off cat eyes or maybe a fox tail.
Ooh, foxes are my favorite. Yeah, that'd be cute.
Let's not get suggestive here though, because
are we getting?
Feel like
is this getting back to furries? I was about to.
I'm sorry. It is. It's getting back to. Okay, how about this? I'll just have cat ears. That's also furry. I don't even know.
It's too far. Never mind.
It's too far into the furry thing. I don't know. Well, that would make you a furry too because you have fangs.
I have fangs. Oh, and some people are really into that. And I really don't want to deal with claws because I like keeping my nails short. So
oh, this is true.
This is very difficult. This is very difficult.
I also don't want to have hooves as legs because we were talking about it. Painting your nails is going to get really expensive.
It's going to be so expensive.
No.
You buy that OPI and it just you need 2 bottles for 1 foot? No.
And then the shaving. How do you shave all that fur? Impossible.
Oh, the shaving would be terrible.
You know what? Maybe we're not going to cross.
I don't think so.
We're not going to cross between worlds.
I don't think we're willing to make a sacrifice. So
no, not at all.
Anyway, let's go back to Perkta. So Perkta, like St. Nicholas, traveled to people's homes to see if the children and servants and young women, and in some legends, every member of the household, were behaving properly. If the person she observed had not behaved as she deemed fit, she would cut open their stomachs, take out their insides, and stuff them full of straw or stones.
What?
So, maybe that spanking from Krampus isn't so bad?
Yeah, you know what? I'd rather the big furry.
Yeah.
Take it. Spank me. I might like it.
That's going to turn into an audio somewhere. So
the audio already exists somewhere, I'm sure.
It probably does. I will clarify briefly for, what Perkta viewed as, behaving appropriately in case you're, concerned that she might pay a visit and see that you've been terrible. Perkta was also affiliated with the domestic labor of spinning, as in some legends, she is who taught humanity how to spin thread and yarn.
Oh.
And so part of her I'd say, requirements for good behavior was to make sure you had spun that year's amount of flax into yarn or thread. And if you hadn't spun it, like your allotment for that year, she viewed that as wasteful and therefore you as lazy. So, vroom, straw and stones in your tummy. Good things. Good things. She's a very interesting character. But anyway, the Perkton were her entourage, roaming the snow-covered lands with her, and often taking part in her own version of the Wild Hunt, a common Fae tradition that was deadly for mortals, as the name suggests. If you recall our Tamlin legend, Tamlin was part of the Fairy Queen's Wild Hunt entourage in Scotland. So some Perkton were beautiful creatures called the Bright Ones, while others, the ugly Perkton, looked like deformed humans or animals and had frightening horns, tails, and teeth. The ugly Perkton were so terrifying to behold that it was believed that they could drive away ghosts and demons.
But I mean, is that really a bad thing? I mean, at least you know they weren't getting haunted or possessed, so.
That is true. In fact, in the 16th centuries, Alpine villagers would sometimes dress as ugly Perkton and go into homes they believed were under attack from evil spirits in order to drive the spirits out.
You see, sometimes it's not bad to be ugly. If you have a nice personality, it can work out. What? You can't be ugly and have a bad personality.
Yeah, because then, you can't be ugly on the inside and outside. Then, you know, you're just...
it doesn't work out, you know?
So, speaking of ugly on the inside and outside, let's get back to Krampus, shall we?
Yes, please.
So for a while, Krampus had his own holiday. December 5th was often called Krampusnacht, Krampus Night. The celebrations often involved drunk men dressed up as Krampus, chasing children through the streets, picking them up and promising to carry them away if the children didn't behave.
In other words, a traumatic experience. How fun. Who the hell thinks of these things? I want to talk to them because no wonder people back in the day literally looked like they had no soul and also died early. It wasn't because of the plague. It wasn't because they had tuberculosis. No, they ain't got nothing of that.
They're terrified.
They're terrified. They had ongoing traumatic events every damn year. Like, who does this to kids? No wonder they got married early and just popped out kids while they were at it. They're like, I'm not going to survive the next Krampus night or whatever. I'm not going to get through this. No.
I'm just laughing at the fact of, like, here we have men dressed as monsters on December 5th, Krampusnacht, chasing children, threatening to carry them to the underworld, threatening to kidnap them. Honestly, like, in your line of reasoning, Yenny, about, like, the trauma, as a child in that time period, I don't know if I would have been able to enjoy December 6th, you know, the Feast of St. Nicholas, where I'm supposed to get presents. I would still just be, like, sitting in the corner going, oh, my gosh.
Yeah, forget that.
They know where I live. They know
where I live.
Like, here, Johnny, Santa brought you some candy canes. It's not going to wash away the pain. Sugar does nothing for this. It's not helping the medicine go down.
No.
All right, so... this tradition of men dressing up and running around terrifying children was called the Krampuslauf, the Krampus Run. And guess what, Yenny? It's still an active tradition in many parts of Central Europe.
Of course it is. Of course.
And it gets worse. In other folk traditions, parents would dress as Krampus on Krampusnacht and frighten their own children in their own homes in order to motivate the kids to behave. Hooray for a seasonal boogeyman, right?
Dude, this is downright awful. I'm not okay with this. Esos niños, los pobres niños.
Oh my gosh, they're suffering.
No,
they're suffering.
I went Spanish. That's when you know that I am upset.
Krampus saw the success of his own holiday night and his own Krampus run, so then Krampus got involved in the greeting card industry.
Of course he did.
Wouldn't you just love to see Hallmark's interpretation of Krampus? I feel like there'd be like some strange love story about how he's just cranky about Christmas and, you know, this small town girl helps him rediscover his love of Christmas or something.
I'd watch it. I just literally have Hallmark to watch the same exact plot just in different faces.
Yeah, I just want to see different actors with it. I'm like, oh, are you wearing the green dress for the finale or the red dress? Yeah.
Yeah. So, kissed him in the cheek.
Oh, steamy. Oh, they held hands?
Oh, they touched. Yeah. I love
it. Scandalous.
She showed her ankles.
All right. So, in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, postcards with illustrations of Krampus were all the rage to send to friends and family. They often depicted Krampus joyfully spanking children with birch sticks, putting them in a basket on his back to carry them away to the underworld, or dragging children along with chains. Above these delightful images was the phrase, Gruß vom Krampus, or greetings from Krampus.
You know, this is super terrible, but also I feel like this would be the seasonal card the newly found dinks would send out. And by dinks, I mean the double income no kid couples. Yeah. Well, I don't think I'd personally send these out.
That would be funny.
Listen, there are some kids I know who would do better if they were really visited by Krampus.
Honestly, yeah.
I mean, the dragging kids in chains is just a little too much, but everything else, I'm pretty okay with.
But, just, and also, chasing the kids in the costumes, that's a little too much for me, but, maybe sending a postcard to, that one child that you care about, but just saying, hey, I love you, you're being a little brat, stop it.
Yeah, you're being a little shit. Come on now.
Be nice to your parents and your siblings.
Please.
Now, if sad and frightened children aren't your style for holiday cards, fear not. There were other illustrations showing Krampus proposing to beautiful women or being spanked by women with his own birch bundles.
Oh.
And folks thought Krampus couldn't be merry.
Okay, these I'd buy. What's good? Let me spank the spanker.
How the tables have turned. All right. So, much like Santa Claus, celebrations of Krampus were at one time outlawed.
Well, I ain't mad about it.
So, the Christian Social Party in Austria banned all observations of the character in 1932. In the 1950s, the Austrian government passed around pamphlets reiterating that exposing children to the idea of Krampus was dangerous to their mental well-being.
Yeah, I agree, Austria. Good job.
Well, Yenny, I'm sorry, but Krampus has made a return to winter traditions in modern Austria, with festivals celebrating him, resulting in lots of drunken mischief. And as mentioned before, the Krampuslauf is seeing a resurgence in popularity in Austria, Germany, the Czech Republic, and Hungary. And to think we only celebrate one scary holiday here in the U.S.
Yeah.
Now, in 2015, there were concerns in many Alpine towns, especially within Austria, that Krampusnacht celebrations and the Krampuslauf parades would frighten newcomers to the area. At this time, refugees from Syria and Afghanistan were expected to arrive right around the same time the festivities were set to begin. Because locals in Linz, Austria enjoyed the celebration but didn't want to terrify their new neighbors, a presentation was arranged where refugee families could learn about Krampus, the local traditions and festivals, and know that all of the hubbub was safe and in good fun. Krampus celebrations can be wholesome. ?
Wholesome? Wholesome? Do you imagine the sheer panic that those poor kids went through? Not only did they have to flee their country, but they arrived at a country that celebrates a monster who spanks kids, drags them in chains, and possibly enjoys spanking their mommy, or mommy spanking them. This has got to be the most unhinged fairy tale folklore shit that we have done to date, Sarah, because what the fuck?
Yenny, I kind of feel like that's a challenge, and I will rise to this occasion.
Oh my God, please no. Oh God. Well, listen, we know Krampus is a holiday myth, but there have been some real-life cases of bad Santas who even put old Krampus to shame. Well, we won't be going too in-depth with these murderous Santas because, again, we're not a crime podcast.
Nope.
Here's a very short description of two who are both coincidentally named Bruce.
Also the name of the animatronic shark from Jaws, so I guess this is the name of a killer, Bella?
Oh, I said I wasn't going to do Twilight, but you did.
I did it!
Yes. Yeah, they sparkle. These don't sparkle, though. All right, so in Christmas Eve 2008, Sylvia Ortega and her family were celebrating when a knock was heard on the door. When her daughter opened it, she was greeted by her mother's ex-husband, Bruce Pardo, who held 2 handguns and also a flamethrower to burn the house down.
Oh my
Pardo
gosh.
attempted to flee the state, but didn't get to do so. And because he apparently knew that he had killed a bunch of people and wasn't going to see the light of day, he took his life instead.
Oof.
Another story, Bruce MacArthur was a well-known mall Santa. Remember how we chatted about those the last episode? Well, yeah. MacArthur was a mall Santa and a gruesome serial killer, specifically during 2010 to 2017. In a span of 7 years, MacArthur had killed 8 victims, and the cops came in time before he actually had his 9th. Literally, guys, they found him tied to a bed. So, while I'm not going to go into detail with what he did with the victims, he is truly an awful and sadistic man, and he's currently sentenced to life in prison, rotting away.
Good. Throw away the key.
Absolutely. See, I told you these were worse than Krampus. I don't mind Krampus. But let's get out of the real-life horror and move back to something fictional, like modern media. Yeah, yay, clap. Yeah. All right, Sarah, let's move on because I'm getting triggered.
Good, because this is why I like fantasy and mythological horror, not real-life horror.
Yeah. Now here we go, guys. You can't talk about Krampus without talking about 2015's horror comedy film, Krampus, starring Toni Collette and Adam Scott. Do I have any Parks and Rec fans around?
Yes! Come on, friends.
It's got a lot of dark humor as it revolves around a dysfunctional family and a pretty nutty boy. But it's also got some scary scenes. And the ending? Well, you could say someone learned their lesson, but perhaps a bit too late.
Ba-ba-bum. Krampus is also a regularly occurring character in the American comedy series American Dad, and he's kind of weirdly hilarious in that show.
Yeah, he is.
Krampus makes an appearance in the new film Red 1, which I haven't seen yet, but I plan to. And Krampus has his very own comic book series titled Krampus, with an exclamation point, by Dean Kotz and Brian Joines, and distributed by Image Comics. In this series, Krampus must help all the gift-giving Christmas spirits find their stolen power.
Oh, okay. So an anti-hero of sorts.
Yes, yeah. All of like the good gift-giving spirits, like, you know, Father Winter and St. Nicholas and Dead Moroz and all of them have to like come together because their powers have been stolen, and they discuss like, should we let Krampus out? I don't know. It could be problems, and chaos and mayhem ensues, and Krampus is kind of our underdog hero.
Aw, I like it.
I know,
And
right?
now, because we have to, start ending the episode, I have to give my research. and research I did. I decided to look into whether or not there's Krampus-inspired novels. And of course, the internet and Wattpad writers never cease to amaze me.
Oh, no.
While I will not be naming the books, you'll be happy or grossed out to know that there are steamy novels where the main character willingly lets Krampus put them in chains.
Oh, my gosh.
Okay. I'm gonna name one because it got me cackling. Master Krampus by Kessely Lowell.
Oh my
I hope I
gosh.
said their name right. I don't even know. But Sarah, can I read the synopsis?
Well,
I'm gonna read it anyway.
Oh, no.
He knows that she's been a bad girl. He sees all those dirty little fantasies. And now he's going to claim her as his mate.
Why are they always mates? Like, what is
I don't
the deal
know.
with mates?
I have no idea, but guess what? It's a 6 freaking book series.
Oh
and
my
Lord
gosh.
help us all. But I'm also going to read it.
You ho ho ho.
Oh.
Oh my gosh. And lastly, while not Krampus related, it is Krampus adjacent because it is German horror, the new Nosferatu movie by Roger Eggers. If you enjoy a spooky Christmas and are looking for ways to fill that strange existential time between Christmas and New Year's, maybe go check out that new movie.
Yeah, and tell us all about it because like we mentioned at the beginning of this episode, we're chickens. Back.
Okay, time for our siren call so we can close this out.
Speaking of movies, your siren call for this week is to pick the lesser evil. Watch 2015's Krampus or watch 2024's Nosferatu. Or lose brain cells, or gain some. I don't know. Some of these dirty novels are pretty good.
Oh my gosh.
And join me in reading Master Krampus. It's sure to make you cringe.
So, Merry Cringemas? And Happy New Year! Bye!
Thanks for listening to Story Sirens. You can follow us on Instagram at Story Sirens Podcast. Want to support us? Send us a cup of Ko-fi by searching ko-fi.com/Story Sirens. We've got lots of treats for those who become siren seekers. All research materials can be found in the episode summary. Music by Donald Guzzi and artwork by Alexis Torres. Story Sirens is a Feather and Fin production. See you soon.